at 88.1. This is listener-supported public radio. KKJZ Long Beach, Los Angeles, and KKJZ HD1 Long Beach, a service of California State University, Long Beach. Also worldwide at jazzandblues.org.
This is KJazz 88.1, listener-supported radio, and I'm Steve Tyrell. And we're going to start this last hour off with Amy Winehouse and a great, great tune that Sammy Kahn and Gene DePaul wrote, and kind of got released by accident, and it turned out to be a huge, huge hit. This is Teach Me Tonight with Amy Winehouse, starting off our last hour on this marvelous Monday.
Thank you, Deb.
Welcome, everyone. I'd like to welcome you all here tonight and call to order the Planning Commission meeting of May 15th, 2017. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Chair Matchin,
Here.
Vice Chair Thomas,
Here.
Commissioner Aguilar,
Here.
Commissioner Campbell,
Here.
Commissioner Klinger,
Here.
all present.
Thank you. By motion of the Planning Commission, this is the time to notify the public of any changes to the agenda, rearrange the order of the agenda, and provide an opportunity for any member of the public or Planning Commission or staff to request an item be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Are there any changes?
No changes.
Okay. Seeing none, do we have a motion?
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Please vote. Okay. We have 5-4. The agenda stands. At this time, members of the public may address the Planning Commission regarding any items within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Commission. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the Commission cannot discuss or take action on any items not on the agenda unless authorized by law. Those members of the public wishing to speak are asked to come forward to the microphone and state their name for the record. All speakers will be limited this evening to 5 minutes at the beginning of the meeting. We've got a lot of people here tonight. We are happy to have all of you, and we want to hear from everyone. So if you're here to speak about the scheduled matter, the Bay Theater, you'll have an opportunity to speak your 5 minutes during that public hearing. In the meantime, this will be a half-hour oral communications for 3 minutes each. And then at the end of the evening, after we've concluded our scheduled business, we'll reopen the oral communications, and you'll have then your opportunity, anyone who wasn't able to speak. All right, so oral communications is now open.
Chair Matthew, can I make a suggestion? Why don't you have a motion to split any discussion on non-agenda items to half an hour before the agendized item, and then move the rest to the end of the agenda?
So we need a motion for that? Okay.
So moved.
I'll second it.
Please vote. The motion passes, and oral communications is now open. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lois Corrigan, and I live in Leisure World. And do what?
Can you scoot in so we can hear you?
Okay.
Thank you.
My name is Lois Corrigan. Is that okay?
Not very well. I'm not hearing anything getting picked up. She
My
on?
husband would be surprised.
She's on.
Okay.
Go ahead.
My name is Lois Corrigan. I live in Leisure World, and I am speaking in favor of the LA Fitness. I have a rare birth defect that requires that I've had a number of surgery, and the way that I have learned to walk and when to move is to join a gym. And I've tried LA 24-Hour Fitness in Long Beach, which is helpful, but it's a little bit of a drive, and I would like to be able to go to a gym close to us. I have also used in limited times the resources at Leisure World. Unfortunately, the pools are outside. The pool is outside, and that makes it hard for me to swim there and to exercise. And the other exercise I do is on the bikes, and they close on the weekends at 5. I've also checked out the pool across from LaSalle High School. They are outside too for lap swim. And I tried another couple of schools after the last leg lengthening, and none of them were, I couldn't really swim in warm water the way I needed to exercise, and I needed the bikes for the knee stuff. So I have tried other things. I would like to see the gym come in here. They have, according to their diagram, they're going to have an indoor pool and sauna. They're going to have bikes. They're going to have a silver sneakers class, and there's buses running to and from Leisure World. I've heard some of the comments about issues with transportation, parking. 24-Hour Fitness is packed. I haven't found that true of the LA Fitness that I've seen. I don't think any of the people going to LA Fitness are going to go into the housing area. We don't want to get lost in there. There's no reason we want to go in there. The biggest problem in Rossmore, to be honest, are the kids to and from school. It's not people going to the shopping centers, to Kohl's, Panera, the places that I go. So I don't really think that's a problem. And I know some people use that area for parking. There's parking issues everywhere. We know where we live that we don't own the space in front of our house. Anybody can park there. Most of the time it's open. The one space we're allowed is in our parking carport, which is frankly really close to our unit. That was That was a requirement when we moved in there, that we not park a quarter of a mile away. I wouldn't be able to manage that. So I personally am in favor of LA Fitness. I've tried other options, and I would like to have something closer to my house that I can work at. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As you can see, I'm anxious to speak. My name is Richard Martin. I've been a resident of Seal Beach, North Seal Beach, for over 50 years. I am absolutely and passionately against LA Fitness. The lady that just spoke respectfully, she's going to be driving in and leaving. That's the fundamental problem. You know, everybody talks about it's going to increase traffic, it's going to lower property values, all of this sort of thing. The Rossmore Shopping Center and the Town Center Shopping Center is saturated now. You go anytime from about 3 to 6 o'clock in the afternoon, the traffic is unbearable. If you have to make a turn to get out of the left lane or anything like that, I've had 2 neighbors tell me that they've been hit because of the traffic is so bad. The majority of the people that are going to be using LA Fitness don't live in the area. They're going to be coming outside of the area, which adds already to a saturated area. You know, it's the theory of diminishing return, where you reach a certain point of activities and events, and after you reach that point, it starts becoming negative. The benefits that the shopping center brought have long been diminished. Now it's just a lot of people from outside of Seal Beach, outside of Rossmore, outside of wherever the near neighborhood is. It's a saturated area. It is going to be difficult for children coming from the neighborhood schools from the Rossmore area to travel around that area. And the unfortunate thing is the people that are most impacted are in Rossmore. We're going to be impacted pretty substantially in College Park East, where I live, and where Ms. Campbell lives.
1 minute.
Pardon me?
1 minute.
1 minute. But those people, because they're in an unincorporated area, don't get a voice. This is the only forum for a voice, which is unfortunate. Somebody needs to be able to speak out, because why is LA Fitness putting their glamorous health club in the back end of a parking lot behind Sprouts? Because they want to get in and have another health club so they can make more money. They got one less than 3 miles away on Valley View. And it doesn't make much sense. Why are they coming so close? You have to question that. Like I said, saturation brings a lot of negative activities, and traffic is unbearable right now. Okay. Other than that, I try to be a little bit calmer, because my passion gets a little better of me sometimes. But I can tell you that from our neighborhood where I live in, they're all absolutely opposed to it. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Glenn Duckett, resident of Rossmore. I know it's part of your job to listen to public comment, and it's also a legal requirement, but nevertheless, thank you for the time and effort you have to put in to do this. I hope the decision of the Commission and the City Council will be based on fact, and will balance the pros and the cons of this project. Consider the concerns of the local residents, the nearby local residents, and also respect the rights of the developer. Now, it may appear that those 3 objectives are incompatible, but I don't think they are. I think there are ways to achieve all of the benefits. I have 4 points I'd like to make. First, focus on the broad benefits to the community. Second, extract concessions from the developer to address the concerns of the nearby residents. Third, don't interfere with the marketplace. And fourth, make your decision based on fact. The opponents of the proposed facility are in what I think is kind of an awkward position of arguing that the facility will not provide a benefit to the local community. But on the other hand, they're arguing that the traffic that it will generate will make our streets unrecognizable. Those two positions can't be both true. I wasn't personally familiar with the survey that was done apparently about a year ago, but apparently there were about 2/3 of the community that was in favor of the facility because presumably they would derive some benefit from it. If the proposed project is rejected, two things will happen. One, the congestion at the corner of Sprouts will not be fixed.
1 minute.
Second, the parking that currently takes place behind the condos will all move on to Montecito because the developer has said that's what his intention is, to limit that. So I'm arguing that we think strategically about how we can extract the maximum benefits to make the project work for the entire community. First, I think the developer should be forced to rotate the project 90 degrees with the front of the facility facing the back of Sprouts. This would move all of the parking and most of the traffic as far away as physically possible from the condos. And in addition, they should provide a row of diagonal parking behind the facility to accommodate the condo owners who want to be able to park there. Those spots could be made exclusively available to those condo residents for a nominal fee and thereby avoid the diversion
3 minutes.
of traffic away from or onto Montecito. Did you say 2 or 3?
That was it. Thank you. Your 3 minutes are up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate it. My name is Tom Pontak. I live in Leisure World. Been here about 20 years. I'd like to read you a letter to the editor, which is scheduled to run in the Sun this Thursday. It seems that there is a concerted and organized campaign against a health facility such as LA Fitness having a place in Rossmore Center. The main complaint is an assumed increase in traffic. While I understand the traffic concerns, it is hard to imagine a more congested area than In-N-Out Burger, and no one seems to complain there. Indeed, the more traffic, the more business. The more business, the more taxes received by the city. These are the consequences of a healthy business economy, but that, of course, is not the point. The main problem, and I put that in quotes, is change. And change is always difficult to some. I understand and appreciate that more than anyone. The main concern, however, should be, does this enterprise enhance the needs and well-being of our residents? In this regard, LA Fitness more than fulfills that requirement. LA Fitness is a health club, and all that that implies. The people that go there, as I have gone to health clubs for over 65 years, people that go there do so as part of a lifestyle that is concerned with health, the single and most important possession we can have in this life. How well I know. 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with both cancer and Parkinson's disease. Only my lifelong habit of strenuous exercise prevented me from succumbing to these maladies and keeping them at bay. The latest scientific journals, and I quote Scientific American and Scientific American Mind, have come to the conclusion that the golden key to a long and healthy life lie primarily in regular and vigorous exercise. Indeed, if any medicine were to be discovered that had half the benefits of exercise, it would be hailed as a wonder drug. I follow a regimen of exercise to stay alive and active. It's vital to my life, literally. In a world shops and restaurants which do little to enhance our life, I respectfully ask you to consider allowing an enterprise such as LA Fitness an opportunity to improve both the health and vitality of Seal Beach residents. A quality city deserves a quality health club. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Angie Simpson, and I'm a resident and homeowner of Rossmore for the last 21 years. I am opposed to the LA Fitness business. And I wanted to share with you that perceptions are a funny thing. The perception is that healthcare and health clubs are good for you, and they can be. And we're fortunate enough to live in a community where we're surrounded by many businesses and many health facilities in the communities that surround us, minutes away, really. So when I think about health and I hear people talk about health and the wellness to their overall well-being, I think about the people who live in the condos behind where this proposed project will be, 170 feet, their bedrooms from the facility. So the noise, the disruption and interruption of sleep concerns me. As a Rossmore resident, yes, the traffic concerns me. I live there. I've raised my child there. And as it is now, I avoid that center simply because of the traffic. So it takes me a bit more time to get to my home that I pay for and pay taxes for because of the already congested environment in which we live. Now, I'm all for gyms. I work out regularly. So I'm not against LA Fitness, but I do find this project to be placed uncomfortably where Rossmore residents live. And as someone said, as an incorporated city, we don't necessarily have a voice other than here. But I want you to hear the voice of hundreds and hundreds, thousands of people who pay taxes, who work every day, who keep vitality in the city of Seal Beach. We are consumers, buyers within your community. And we are saying to you that this particular project is not a fit. The perception of it being healthy for our community is a falsehood. It is more of an inconvenience and a burden to those who live within and around that facility. The traffic issue is not being addressed necessarily, and this project is only going to add to it. And the frustrations that come with it, and I'm sure you've heard that from many people. The increased, crimes of opportunity that happen for car break-ins are absolutely something that's regular for health clubs. My car has been a victim of that before as well, so I'm familiar with it. But my concern, again, as a homeowner locally in that community, is that the congestion is already an issue for me in my own home that I pay for 21 years. This project is going to add to that. So while it might take somebody a little bit longer to get to a gym facility that's indoor with a pool, think about the people who live there and have to deal with that traffic every single day. We're not visiting that facility. We live in the community. We've been the very people who have been the livelihood of Rossmore and Seal Beach. We've raised our kids within this community. They're now working individuals as well. So I ask you to think about that, not just in terms of the financial impact, but the impact that it has on a community that is vibrant with people who care about the community in which they sit and live. So for me, LA Fitness is just not a project that fits this particular community. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Shannon Brennan. I read this to the City Council, so I'm going to read it now to the Planning Commission. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm a resident of Seal Beach, specifically Leisure World. I support the proposed LA Fitness Center at the Shops of Rossmore. I moved to Leisure World almost 10 years ago. It's a wonderful place to live. We have great amenities. In 2016, approximately 48,000 people played golf on our 3-par golf course. Over 78,000 people worked out in our gym, and approximately 49,000 used the pool or hot tub. We have many active senior citizens living in Leisure World who are very interested in maintaining a healthy lifestyle. In December, I'll be 65. I'll be eligible to join Silver Sneakers program via Medicare. Silver Sneakers is a free fitness program for seniors that's helping millions of boomers stay fit. Silver Sneakers includes unlimited access to every participating gym and fitness center in the network. Unfortunately, I haven't found a gym in Seal Beach that accepts Silver Sneakers. Now, I'm told Anytime Fitness accepts Silver Sneakers. However, my friend David has gone to Anytime Fitness on 2 occasions and has been not allowed to join under the program. So I don't know what to say about that.
But apparently they have taken in the past some Silver Sneaker members, but I don't think they have room for us. There are 9,000 seniors living in Leisure World. We make up 1/3 of Seal Beach. I don't pretend to speak for everyone in Leisure World, and I don't pretend to speak for all of Seal Beach, but I know I speak for many. Last June, the Sun polled readers with the following question: do you support the proposed LA Fitness Health Club plan for the shops at Rossmore? 64% voted yes, 36% voted no. I like the shops at Rossmore. I don't want to see the shops at Rossmore fail. The center appears to be thriving, but I worry about a couple of the stores. We have all read in the news about Macy's and JCPenney's closures. Online shopping is hurting brick and mortar. I found an article in the Washington Post entitled 5 Retail Trends to Watch in 2014. This is an excerpt. Big box realtors and grocery stores have long been among the most sought-after anchors for shopping centers, but that is quickly changing as developers look to large gyms and fitness centers to help draw a stream of regular customers. Gyms such as LA Fitness have become coveted mainstays in shopping centers. As more and more consumers shop online for clothing and other needs, fitness centers are the one last remaining business that can draw a regular crowd on a daily or maybe weekly basis. 9 stores in the Rossmore Shopping Center had the right of refusal, meaning if any of the 9 said no, the fitness gym couldn't go in. Okay.
Thank you.
None of them said no. Thank you.
We have time for about 4 more.
Hi, my name is Zoe Hadman. I live in Rossmore. I go to the gym every day, so I am a strong proponent of gyms. We have several gyms in the area within the shops of Rossmore, and we've already talked about that. I do want to also mention I'm a Silver Sneakers trained certified trainer, and I love the idea that many Leisure World residents would love to have that Silver Sneakers program. That program is offered at the LA Fitness on Valley View, LA Fitness on Bellflower, 24-hour fitness on Bellflower, 24-hour fitness in Cypress. So we're only talking a couple more miles away. We're not talking 10 to 15 miles that people would have to travel. So with the gym and the LA Fitness in the shops Rossmore, we all know about the crime, the traffic, the noise, the parking. There's so many issues that are going to affect so many people. When people can just drive another couple miles to go to another gym that does offer all the things that they would like, they offer the pool for the Silver Sneakers as well. Anytime Fitness, I did talk to the owner of Anytime Fitness. He does offer the Silver Sneaker program there, and he does not have a pool, but these other 4 gyms nearby have a pool for that program. I also want to share a story with you, but I want to be sure that I'm not going to be on tape because I don't want to give any criminals any ideas. Are we taping this? Okay.
You're live.
Okay. I would love to give this information to you. I'm just not sure if I should. Stop me if you think I should stop, okay? Because this is something serious that we need to think about. This happened at a gym. Somebody was parked in the parking lot, in gym clothes, staking out, watching people. Saw a person come in, followed that person in. They got past the front desk. That person had a gym bag, so they assumed that they were going to be there, work out, and then shower afterwards. Followed that person into the locker room, saw where their locker is. Now, they already know their car. Followed that person after they went to the locker room to lock their things in the locker. Followed that person to see where that person was going to go in the gym, whether it was class or in the gym.
1 minute.
And then as soon as that person went into a class, went in, clipped the lock on the locker, took the wallet, the keys, has the ID, knows where the car is parked, didn't have to break into the car. She had the keys of the car, took the car, she has the address to the house, drove to the house, had a beeper for the garage, got into the garage, closed the garage, ransacked the house, was picked up by somebody else, all before that person even knew that their lock was broken. I don't think we need this kind of crime in Rossmore or Seal Beach or the nearby areas because this is typical for gyms. I've been in the health club business for 37 years. Crime happens not with the members of the gym, it's people that come into the area. And then we're going to expose all these criminals to the surrounding. Once they drive through Rossmore, they're going to go, whoa, these are nice homes, we should come here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is David Powell. I live in Leisure World. We've heard this thing about the crime problem. I don't see it as being a problem. We hear testimonials about terrible things that have happened, and we can respond to each one of the terrible things. But this last one just urges me to say that when I walk into LA Fitness, that I've been a member of for 30 years, I've never had my locker broken into, and I've never had my car broken into. The process of walking into LA Fitness, you show your card. They scan your card. Your picture shows up on a screen. So either it's you or it's not. After that, there are banks of lockers there, small lockers, this big. You set your own code to that locker. You put your keys, your wallet, your watch, any other valuables in that. So anybody who does that, I don't see how those lockers could possibly be broken into with the staff right there within arm's reach of it. Now, yes, if you leave your keys in the car and you leave your car unlocked, it may get stolen. And I'm not saying that crime doesn't happen, as we know it happens in Seal Beach, but I don't think the criminals are down here in Seal Beach breaking into cars in practice for going to LA Fitness. It's just ridiculous. The first time LA Fitness tried to pass this project and it failed, I was really surprised. I was taken aback. So since then, I went to all 3 of the town hall meetings. I read all the online stuff, the newspaper reports, et cetera, et cetera.
1 minute.
And the more I hear, the more I'm convinced that LA Fitness is a great fit for that shopping center. I say, let's consider the 1,200 people, cars a day that want to go to that shopping center. Let's consider their quality of life. Let's not just assume that they're going there for frivolous fun. Let's consider the shopping center itself. They're solvent now. Let's not tie their hands. Let's not be anti-business and prevent them from putting in a business, as people have said, that's going to help the businesses that are already there in the shopping center. The people in Leisure World. It's easy to say, hey, just take your shuttle and go to Los Altos. Just take your shuttle, go on over there at Garden Grove, go somewhere else. I say, let it be in Seal Beach.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have time for 2 more.
Good evening. My name is Wes Tanaka. I'm a resident of Rossmore for 17 years. I'm here representing me and my wife and my brother and sister-in-law who have been residents for 33 years. There's been a lot of talk about the traffic, okay, and I agree with that 1,000-fold. But what I have not heard emphasized enough for me is safety. Okay, let me give you some good examples. I've been retired for 7 years, and I walk up, I live on Copadero, and I walk up Copadero to Montecito almost daily. And if you can picture this, I wish there was a picture here of Montecito. So you have all of the housing, the residences with the townhouses and the apartments. If you look at Copa de Oro, there's an entryway, ingress and egress that could go around the backside. Same thing with Mainway. Those 2 areas, and you think of the gym behind that. That's going to be the main ingress and egress for that gym along Montecito, right? If you look closely at those residential areas, you'll see where the people go who live there, enter and leave, coming and going. At Mainway, on each side, there's a driveway going into parking for the residential complex. Same thing on the right side. All along the street, people are coming and going. I have witnessed accidents almost happen. Pretty close with people trying to get in people trying to get out. And it's not safe. If you put a gym there with the additional traffic, and they're going to be on Montecito. So I think someone said that they're going to come in from the front of the shopping center. That's not going to happen because you can see how hard it is to turn into the shopping center just to go to Sprouts or go to California Pizza Kitchen. What's going to happen is they'll turn off of St. Cloud to come in on Montecito. They're going to come down Bradbury. And when that gets a little bit too crowded, they're going to start coming down Orangewood. They're going to find every way to get into Rossmore to get to the gym. And that is going to be a severe safety hazard. The last thing I'll say is Rossmore has changed considerably in the last years. Okay? Instead of older folks and retirees like me, you're seeing younger families with younger kids, families who are walking their kids to school, riding their bikes, walking their dogs. Okay? Additional traffic is just going to put their health and welfare at risk. And I encourage you not to approve this gym.
Thank you. This will be our last oral communication of this time frame until after we've seen the matter of Bay Theater. Go ahead.
Dave Burgess, thank you. I'm looking at, which I just printed this afternoon, which is an LSA 2012 square footage analysis / traffic study. I've stated it again. I will continue to state it. I did the quicker math on this, and there's 390,000 square feet approximately in the shops at Rossmore today before the LA Fitness. On the June 20th Seal Beach public document, it said 309,000 and change. 390,000 is significantly more than 300,000, and the build out since 2000 through today was predicated, or no EIR predicated on no additional square footage. Significant, 5% I wouldn't call it significant. 90,000 over 300,000, which is 33%, I consider significant. So before we even consider the LA Fitness, it's time for Seal Beach to take a serious look and actually analyze the 400 pages in this traffic study and condense it to common sense and a simple spreadsheet. There's obviously current problems at the shops of Seal Rossmore. Turn lanes, traffic, we've all heard the stories, regardless of the crime. And before we even consider LA Fitness project, Seal Beach needs to rectify the conditions that they continue to allow exist. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oral communications is now closed. And now we have conditional use permit 16-8. Can we have a staff report?
Madam Chair, there is a consent item that needs a vote.
Oh, I completely missed that. I'm so sorry. We need to first approve the Planning Commission meeting minutes from May 1st.
I have a correction.
Okay.
Under Commission concerns, it says, in response to Commissioner Campbell's inquiry, Interim Community Development Director Crystal Andavazo indicated there was no creation of new lines for 350 Main Street project. Crystal and I discussed this. There was one lot line adjustment for 350 Main, because I had asked if the one with the 5 lot lines went before the Planning Commission, and there was a lot line adjustment with 350 Main, how come that one didn't go? And Crystal said when you have 5 or more, CEQA requires you do a Planning Commission meeting on this, but since the one at 350 Main was under 4, it did not require a Planning Commission meeting. So the statement that there was no creation
of new lot lines is not correct. I believe there was at least one that you said.
Madam Chair, if I may interject, I believe that the correction to this would be, my statement was that there was no creation of new parcels.
New what?
Of new parcels. A new
Parcels.
lot was
Okay,
not created.
okay. Yes, that makes sense then. Okay, thank you.
So can we have a motion?
So moved, with the correction.
Second.
Please vote. We have 5-4, and the agenda, or the minutes are passed with the correction. Thank you. And now for conditional use permit 16-8, can we have a staff report, please?
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. Tonight we have conditional use permit 16-8, which was submitted by property owner Paul Dunlap, requesting approval of the preservation of a locally recognized historic structure, along with a Type 69 ABC license, which is a special license that allows for the on-sale of beer and wine in conjunction with the theater. And this project also requests approval of off-site parking to serve the need for this location. The primary subject site is located at 340 Main Street and is developed with a 3-story building that was previously operated as the Bay Theater.
Crystal, could you speak a little louder?
Sure. The secondary subject site is located at 801 Pacific Coast Highway and is developed with a bank parking lot currently occupied by Chase. The secondary subject site will provide all parking to serve the theater use, and the locations are within 300 feet of each other. The applicant proposes to restore the residential apartment on the 3rd floor for personal use. The 2nd floor will have the projection room and office areas restored, and the ground floor will be utilized and restored to meet building code in the restroom areas, the concession area, and lobby area, and will be utilized for live entertainment and film at this theater location. There are different alternatives that the applicant is currently considering currently. Both of the alternatives are proposing to have 475 seats at this location. The Main Street specific plan requires a parking ratio of 1 parking space per 6 seats in that for any theater use, which would require a total of 80 parking spaces. The secondary location will be utilized by a professional valet company, which has identified that they would be able to accommodate 80 parking spaces on this location. All ticket buyers who purchase a ticket to this venue will be directed to the bank location for all of their parking. The vehicles will arrive on the pointer's not working. On the east side, they will drop off their vehicle, and then the valet will park it in the lot. They will then walk across over to the theater location. This would be the only path that remains clear. The rest of the areas will be placed with all of the parking. Again, so all of the vehicles come in off of this location, and then they'll be exiting over in this location. Signs will be provided at all of the other driveway areas to indicate that there is no entrance along PCH for the valet parking area. Initial study was prepared for this location to assess any potential environmental impacts from the project. A traffic impact analysis was done, a noise impact analysis was also prepared, and the result was a negative declaration. It was found that there are no significant impacts that would result from this project, so no mitigation was required. The EQCB, the Environmental Quality Control Board, reviewed this project at their May 3rd meeting. They felt that the document met the CEQA requirements, and they had no additional comments or recommendations to add. And the applicant is also proposing to restore the exterior of the theater so that it is restored back to its original appearance and elevation. The board has a materials board that identifies the colors that they are proposing for the exterior of the building. Staff has received 3 letters in response to this proposed project, In general, the areas of concern in these letters were noise, the traffic impact analysis, operating hours, and what-if scenarios. In regard to concerns over noise, there was a particular concern about not meeting noise standards. The noise and impact analysis found that the noise that would be generated with a closed door at the rear of the theater, with a closed door, would be about 48 decibels, which is within the allowed 50 decibel maximum. The board recently had a lot of noise analysis discussion when the entertainment ordinance came before the Planning Commission. At that time, it was found that noise studies throughout the Main Street area identified an ambient noise level of about 50 decibels. The noise generated here would fall within the newly adopted ordinance for entertainment in the Main Street area, so it would be compliant with that, along with the noise standards in Title VII. Additionally, if there's any evidence that results from complaints or significant noise that can be verified, the CUP and every CUP has a standard condition that if there are violations that have been substantiated, then it can be brought back to the Planning Commission for further consideration. In regard to the traffic impact analysis, there seems to have been some type of discrepancy over the parking that was stated in the traffic impact analysis. The valet company was able to identify that 80 cars would be able to be parked on the Chase location. So the traffic impact analysis will be revised to reflect this, that the 80 cars will be provided, and that is also included into the resolution for the document. The operating hours, there were questions in a couple of the letters with regard to the business hours. The primary business hours that were initially identified by the applicant were evening hours for the live entertainment and for the film that was the film and the movie showing screenings. What occurred is during the application process, the property owner was he had different community groups reach out to him and request to have use of the facility for different types of community events. So at that point, he changed the application to open it earlier at about 10 a.m. to accommodate some of these requests. This is not a primary portion of the business, but it is something that he wanted identified in the conditional use permit application so that he would be allowed to allow these community events to occur at that location. There was a concern as well with regard to fees being charged for the valet. The valet service will not charge fees to customers utilizing that location as long as they are showing up with the theater ticket, because this is the required parking for that use. So there would not be a charge associated with that. In regard to other what-if scenarios that were presented, in general, there is a standard condition that if any significant changes are made to the approved operation of the business, then it can be brought back to the Planning Commission for further review. And at this time, this concludes staff's report, and I'm available for any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff?
I have some.
I have some.
When was the Bay Theater built?
We don't have the original permits on record, and we've done extensive searching for that.
Well,
about the
Libby Applegate,
40s or...
The chair of the Historic Preservation Committee is here. Do you know when the Bay Theater was built? 1945, thank you. And do you know when it closed?
2008.
They about...
Okay, we're going to take it.
2012 or I believe 2013, 2012 I believe.
2013?
2012, 2012.
My reason I asked about when it was built, because that's an old building. Was any retrofitting done to it?
Whatever work is done to the building would have to meet current building codes. So there would be, whenever it's going through the plan check process, if it's found that any of the structure needs to be upgraded or any improvements need to be made for safety, that will be taken care of during plan check.
So if it needs to be retrofitted, it will be?
Correct.
Okay, good. Also,
This building is right next to 350 Main, which was the site of an old gas station. Has the soil been tested along the side of the building to be sure there's no contamination under the building?
The 350 Main building has been undergoing cleanup efforts with the county that the engineering department has been monitoring and a part of. I don't believe that there was anything that was brought to my attention by the city engineer that would show any of the plume or anything has gone under the building, or that there's any reason why that would affect the current project before us
Okay,
tonight.
the reason I ask is there used to be a gas station on the southwest corner of Seal Beach Boulevard and PCH. And when the Shore Shop closed and they wanted to build homes there, they had to check the soil contamination. Unfortunately, the gas tank was still under that site, so there was soil contamination. I know that both gas tanks have been taken up from that old gas station site. I just didn't know of any of the contamination while it's under remediation. I didn't know if any of the contamination was under the Bay Theater, and if that site would also require remediation from the gas company that ran that.
My understanding is that there was, and I don't have this, it's the engineering department is generally involved with the OC Environmental Health. But my understanding is that the area under the 350 Main location, whatever areas are identified as far as where the plume extended out to, those were all tested and they were being treated. I don't believe that there was any amount or any significant amount that went under the Bay Theater that would have affected this or would have come out during the review process for this item. The engineering department reviewed the project and didn't identify.
But it wasn't tested to see if there was any contamination under the Bay Theater.
As part of this, no, because there was not going to be any ground disturbance that was going to be good.
Then I also have questions on the parking. They're supposed to have parking for 80 cars. It said there were 65 on that site. I counted 46 to 48 spaces. We'll hear on that. And those are my questions for right now. Robert Goldberg sent in a letter with many issues. Will he have an opportunity to address these?
Yes, anybody who would like to speak will have 5 minutes.
Okay. Okay. Because one of the issues that he said, and this is a quick one, item 2020 and 24 were the same thing. So condition 24 is the same as condition 20. So I saved you some time, Robert.
I have a question also.
Yes. Okay.
On page 8 of 9, it mentions the outdoor dining area, and I really haven't seen anything. I didn't find anything in the report on it, and I can't see where there's a space for it. I think I asked you about that.
Yeah. Madam Chair, I would actually like to request that from the Planning Commission that we remove condition number 22. There are a number of standard conditions that are applied to most ABC license requests. In this particular case, it was overlooked that this referred to an outdoor dining area and not the ABC license itself.
I have questions as well. May I? One is actually a clarification on the valet parking offered over at Chase. If you could clarify, the patrons would drop their cars off there and walk across PCH to get to the venue, as opposed to being dropped off at the front of a building and the valet is taking it across the street.
That's correct.
Okay. And then the other one is kind of for a little foresight here. They're offering other live events and venue concerts, presumably, and shows. In my experience, there's a certain amount of equipment that needs to be loaded and unloaded in these situations, and I was wondering how that was going to be done. I know some of those are done by trucks, and will those trucks come to the rear of the venue, or will they be loaded through the front, through Main Street? And is there room to do that in a dock and doors large enough to accommodate those equipment movements?
The building does have existing doors at the rear which open onto the alley at the rear of the property.
Are there double doors?
Yes, okay. Double doors at 3 locations. So most, yeah.
And those were there originally intended for those, for large equipment and things like that to be moved. Okay, thank you. I'm done for now.
Okay, I have a couple of questions as well. Going back to parking and the 66 available spaces, and then now they're saying that they can fit 80?
80 parking spaces.
Regardless, that left 14 spaces, and I know that Section 8A addresses this, citing that metered parking and the beach parking would be able to take that overflow. Regardless, we don't know exactly how many cars there will be, and it could be more than 80, so that could be the case. My thinking is often the metered parking would not be available on a night like that. People might choose to park closer, especially an event that starts after 6 p.m. So if they go to the beach parking lot, don't they close at 10 o'clock?
I believe the beach parking does close at 10 o'clock, yes.
And the hours of the theater go until midnight?
Yes.
So that takes that away from anything that if there's an event that goes past 10 o'clock.
Right. The 66 parking spaces and the 14 left over, that would have come out to the 80 total parking spaces that were required. The valet company has identified that 80 vehicles would be able to be parked on the Chase Bank location. So the spillover and the 14 additional parking spaces would not be required. They would be able to accommodate the 80 vehicles on the Chase Bank location.
All right, and that's actually all I have now. Oh, I do have a question, and this might not matter. I was thinking about an additional, this is a really tight area in the alley, and so for delivery trucks, was there any condition for that? I didn't see anything on that. And I don't know that it's necessary. I just know that it's a very congested alley.
I don't believe that there was a condition added for the delivery trucks at the rear. The rear area for a commercial location generally is so that loading would be done in the alley area so that it's not done in congesting the main street area, which is where there's more pedestrian and vehicle traffic. So there wasn't a specific condition added for the loading in the alley area.
And that wasn't found to be necessary?
No, it's typical of an alley.
Thank you. Are there any more questions of staff?
Not at this time.
Okay. All right, then, at this time, I'd like to open the public hearing, and you will have 5 minutes, and please state your name.
Come on up.
Good evening, members of the Planning Commission, staff, and audience attendees. Esther Kenyon, founder and administrator of the Seal Beach Performing Arts Association. I'm speaking on behalf of the Bay Theater Project and on the City of Seal Beach Resolution 17-13. It appears that already there is a favorable recommendation to this resolution by the staff, and we thank you for this. You may have read in the latest Sun News a quote from me speaking to the economic benefits to the city of the Bay Theater being restored and functioning as a movie live performance venue. Because this is an important factor to provide you with further information on these benefits, which perhaps will be useful when further Bay Theater issues or permit requests come before you, I would like to take a few minutes to expand on the subject. Terms such as creative economy, creative class, and cultural economic are becoming more common among urban planners, arts administrators, economic developers, and business and municipal leaders. The activities of Arts and Cultural Section sector and local economic vitality are connected in many ways, such as attracting new and visiting populations from outlying areas, bringing increased attention and foot traffic to Seal Beach at times other than the car show, the Christmas parade, the fish fry, and the Shakespeare in the Park. They become an investment in creative placemaking, where people want to live and work, congregate, and own a business. In short, they become an essential part of a community identity. Now, how does this equate to actual revenue to the city and its businesses? I can only cite the example of the small town of Paducah, Kentucky, a town of 24,000, much like Seal Beach. In 1987, the town fathers, as part of a revitalization plan, were convinced by a group of concerned citizens to form a cultural arts district, starting with an abandoned theater and several other available buildings. The idea was an outstanding success, and fast forward about 20 years, in 2012, UNESCO designated it a national cultural district. Audience and attendee activity connected to the district have added $19.8 million to their economy and added $2.2 million in state government revenue. A very lofty goal. But as you can see, culture sparks pride. Business people together brings them to a common uplifting experience and can create a more economically vital and vibrant city. The reopening of the Bay Theater can be a part of a new Mayberry by the Sea. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Janet Reedman, and I'm a longtime resident of this area. I'm also the owner of 330 Main Street, the business complex next to Paul's. And I'd like you to know that I am thrilled with all of his plans and his ability to discuss with me and show me the things that he can do with that building. My husband and I have owned that building for 20 years, and it really has been a worry to us. And I'm thrilled, Paul. Thank you. So I'm here to support whatever we can do to make sure that we can add to the culture of this city. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Tom Rowe, President of the Seal Beach Chamber of Commerce and the owner of the Abbey on Main Street. I am fully in support of this project, as everybody I've talked to is. It seems to me like a no-brainer. As Paul should be applauded for saving this historic building, first and foremost. Thank you very much. It's a rare opportunity. I just got to visit a hall similar to this, or an old theater in Washington, D.C., and see a show. I'm going up to Napa to the Uptown Theater, which is a theater built in the late 30s. It was renovated about 6 years ago. So for Seal Beach to have an opportunity like this is a 1 in a million. They weren't lining up around the street to buy this project and put a lot of money because it's a very difficult project. And I would ask you, as a business owner for 40 years, don't tie his hands with CUP, unreasonable conditions. It has to be allowed to make money. None of you take the day off to go to movies at 10:30 in the morning or 2:30 in the afternoon or maybe on the weekends, but they need to have the doors open and be able to do business when people are available. Unlike many of the businesses on Main Street, we've had our hands tied over the years, and this is one case that I would just beg you not to do that. It's a very reasonable request that have been put out there. He's gone out of his way to meet every criteria and do everything he can to be a good neighbor and a good citizen. So I also look forward to it, very much so. And I think as far as some of the issues that have come up, the parking, I think he's mitigated that very sufficiently. I work on Main Street 7 days a week. And, for the most part, parking is kind of a funny thing. If you drive by on your way home tonight, everybody, you'll notice that there's plenty of parking as I walked over here, as my manager mentioned. Isn't this weird that there's so much parking There's very few times that there's just not parking. I know during the business days, when more times than not, the theater probably won't be having shows and doing things. It does get a little tight on Main Street, but we can't do anything about that. We're not going to change that. In the evenings, when he's doing business operations, there is ample parking, or with the addition of Chase and some of the other lots, there's plenty of parking. And the other thing I'd like to throw out there, the newest thing, I've also been not just in business, but in development for years and gone through many planning commissions. Uber's changing the game. People are not driving and parking. We get more Ubers at the Abbey than people parking, it seems, on Friday and Saturday night. They're sitting out front on the bench waiting for Uber, and they know to pull up in the alley right there and pick them up and leave. So I think that's just, another consideration as you look at the parking studies don't take into consideration. So with that, I wish you the best and expedite this, and please let it go forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to speak?
Good evening, Planning Commission. Robert Goldberg, Seal Beach. I did write a letter to you all and to staff earlier today, and I appreciate our acting director addressing several of my concerns. The letter was a bit late because I was frankly just reluctant to even review this critically. I share the enthusiasm of the community in anticipation for having this theater open. I went to it before it closed, and I was very sad to see it close. And I agree it has great potential to enhance the cultural offerings that we have in our city core and to support the businesses on Main Street. We're also very, very fortunate to have really a white knight who has invested his financial resources and is committed to turning his vision into reality, and a vision we all share in this community. But my second thought was, to make this project successful, we all have to look at it critically now. And that's why I took the time to review it and came up with a few questions. I had listed 5 questions. I think several of them have been addressed, and I'm not going to go over those. But there's 2 I would like to discuss. And one is related to the parking. And the issue there that I think needs to be discussed a little bit more is that for almost half of the operating hours, there'll be no enhanced parking. We won't have the valet parking until 6 o'clock Mondays through Fridays and until 4 o'clock on Saturdays. And I appreciate the business model in that, the primary function of his business, the movies and the live entertainment will be in the evening and won't be a problem, and that he was really seeking the earlier hours to accommodate special requests from the community, and that's all very laudable. But let me suggest one other way of doing that. Rather than setting a precedent where you're granting a CUP that's only parked, 40 or 45% of the time, rather than doing that as a precedent, the other option that you would have is to set the regular business hours that you grant in the CUP to comport or equal the hours of the valet parking. For the special events, the community events that may happen when the valet is not open, what you could do is, through the CUP, is you could make a condition that he and the community organizers could request a special event permit. Special event permits happen all the time. Car show, the pancake breakfast, the health event that we have in the park. And basically, it's a $20 fee. It's reviewed. The project, the event is reviewed. The number of people that are anticipated is reviewed administratively by the Director of Community Development. There is a notice in the Sun, 10-day notice, so anyone that has concerns can write to the Director. And typically, I don't know how many of these are rejected, probably hardly none. But what it does is it allows staff to remain in control of these events, these off-hour events, when we have no provided parking. It allows the director to remain in control. Ultimately, the planning commission could remain in control of that. And you'd be able to see, I mean, how many of these events are happening? What are their impacts, et cetera. It allows control of this. What you have before you right now, again, this applicant is very well intentioned, and I applaud his intentions. But exactly how these special events will impact the community and the parking is kind of unknown. Now, we want to encourage them, we definitely want to encourage them, but there's another mechanism to do that besides just carte blanche providing hours that aren't covered at all. So it's something for you to discuss perhaps or consider. Lastly, regarding the noise condition 20, I appreciate that that's maybe boilerplate language there, but the question I had there is that if there are noise complaints received by you or by the director, but no documented violations, measurements, et cetera, can the Planning Commission still consider those complaints if there's no documented violations? Thank you.
I'll give you another second to clarify that. I wasn't sure what you were.
Okay. If you read condition 20, it has two parts. It says that the facility shall comply with the noise ordinance, which we all know what that is. Okay. But then the next sentence says, should complaints be received regarding noises generated, then the Planning Commission reserves the right to schedule the subject permit for modification or revocation.
Yes.
Okay. So there can be a situation where people are complaining about the noise, but the police department can't get out there to measure it, or they do measure it, they think there's not a violation, but you have residents coming to you saying that they're being bothered by noise or by the trucks unloading the equipment from the music, et cetera. So my question is, this condition 20 says should complaints being received, but I'm getting the impression from the director that if there's no documented violations, if the police department hasn't documented violations of the noise ordinance, then are your hands tied?
I understand what you're saying.
That's my question.
And I think we have an answer for that. But
okay, I'm finished. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Mike Tribble, longtime resident. I just want to make a point that may go unnoticed that the youth in the community will be well served by an art theater with the opportunity to have maybe film festivals, showcase young youth talent. There's a new group from the Philharmonic Society in Seal Beach right now that they're well represented here tonight, that has fundraisers that help our youth. And I just think it's about time Seal Beach had a legitimate theater where we can showcase the talent of the youth. That's it.
Thank you.
Carla Watson, lived here since 1964. Anyway, I went to the Bay Theater for many years and loved it. I remember the Marina Palace. I love that too. Anyway, I'm excited to have entertainment brought back to Seal Beach in a historic place. I do respect Mr. Goldberg because I think it's very important to listen. I will have to say that I played ball over at Zoder Field for a lot of time, and people were upset about the noise that came from Zoder Field. And there's some people who don't like the car show, and they don't like the impact of that upon the community either. There's some people who get upset about the run. And, it has to be modified and so forth, but the whole idea of bringing music and entertainment into a historical place, I think is fantastic. If you've seen Majestic, the movie with Jim Carrey, if you've seen the fabulous movie in Italy where we honor our theater, this is an unprecedented opportunity, and I think it's positioned in a perfect place from a gentleman who really cares about arts. And I know that we have to keep a watch on our small community, as we have before with 2 stories and all kinds of different, but I hope that we can be welcoming to this, because it will be a fantastic place for youth, for all kinds of music. If you've been here for a while and you got to see your first foreign film in that theater and saw the people coming from Cal State Long Beach, if you were here in the community and got to see the organ concert, we yearn for that again. I hope that it'll be a welcoming group of people, and I hope we'll work it out with the parking and so forth. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Costa Duncan, and I'm a Seal Beach resident. I am also in commercial real estate, a consultant, broker, appraiser. I was involved in the original Bay Theater Foundation that we tried to get going. I was the executive director for a period. And I have a passion for old theaters, for old movies, for culture. And I think what the new owner of the theater is planning on doing would be a boom to the community. It was built as a theater. It's a special purpose building. It's not going to be used for anything else. If it were, the whole character of the theater, the building would be completely changed. So certainly the best use for it is as a theater. The plans for community-based activities, art, culture, it really ties in nicely with what we have here in our community for Seal Beach. From what I'm hearing about his ability to work with the Planning Commission, other business owners, property owners, is a win-win situation. Not everybody is like that. We've heard a lot about LA Fitness and a lot of divisiveness there. This does not seem to be the case. And so I think the benefit is significant to the community on many levels: business, culture, participation, and all the above. I'm very excited for this and glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Would the applicant like to speak?
Just put a lozenge in my mouth, sorry. Well, good evening, Commission. Thank you for this opportunity. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Just to reiterate, what we'd really like to do is restore the Bay Theater to what it was originally. We've tried to address the issues that have grown up around the Bay, if you will, over the years with regard to parking. We've solicited virtually every lot in Seal Beach. And Chase, due to a pre-existing relationship with us and financing, was willing to work with us. Nobody else in town was. This was our only chance to add parking to it. So fortunately, Chase was able to help us there. In regard to one of the questions that was brought up earlier about your ability to control what happens at the Bay, by the mere factor that this is a CUP, you have jurisdiction, I believe, over complaints or violations of that CUP that would come before you, and you have the right to revoke that CUP, which would shut down the theater. Well, I'm investing millions of dollars up front now to see to it that you don't do that. And as an owner-operator living on site, I will be there monitoring and having it monitored so that it becomes a welcome addition to the community rather than a nuisance. And so this is something, obviously, you will still have jurisdiction over, being the Planning Commission and it being operated under a CUP. And so anyway, I just want to bring that up. We're excited about it. We'd love to become part of the community. We started restoring the building itself, the roof, and trying to get things into shape now because it's been in disrepair for so many years, leaking and the like. But to really go full speed ahead, we needed to become the theater that we'd like it to be and go forward. So we're hoping you see this opportunity as we do, and that we can work together to make it a great cultural icon for the city and the surrounding community. Thank you.
Thank you. Could you stay at the podium for just a moment? First, just for the record also, can you state your name?
I'm sorry.
So we've got
My name is Paul Dunlap, Dunlap Property Group. Thank you.
Thank you. And then I wanted to ask the commissioners, does anyone have questions?
I do have one. The parking agreement, is that with Chase Bank or with the landowner?
It's with Chase Bank. And
Chase
They are the
Bank?
landowner, that's my understanding. So it's Chase Bank. And my understanding is they're the landowner, or they have jurisdiction to enter into that lease agreement.
Okay, well, it's my understanding they're not the landowner, that's why I asked the question.
I think they are in a position, they're able, if they're not the landowner, they're certainly able to execute the sublease with us, which they have with their council and their council's
I'm just
jurisdiction.
saying, be careful on that one, because if they're not the landowner,
One of the questions you asked earlier, though, we did have a level 1, phase 1 survey done on the land, and there's no contamination in the land.
Okay, good.
The one next door is
But-
being mitigated by, I believe it's Standard, if I'm not mistaken. Is it Standard Oil? Chevron, I'm sorry, Standard, date myself, sorry. Anyway.
Any other
so
questions
that's
of
that.
the applicant? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak to this matter? Seeing none, public hearing is now closed. And it's time for discussion.
I'll start this off. I do want to say that, as I walk down here today, it's a short walk from my house to here. I walk by the theater, and long has this community, for many years, has been kind of bookended by an abandoned theater on one end and an abandoned structure at the end of the pier. I am very glad to see that one of those things is being taken care of. I think that, when we look at our community and the community we want to be, I think we all vision a vibrant theater at one end and a vibrant facility, whatever that may be, on the end of the pier at the other. So I'm glad to see one of these is being taken care of. I appreciate that, Mr. Dunlop, and I look forward to the other one being taken care of. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners? Any other discussion? Okay. Are there any motions?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, remember that
Madam Chair, if I may, we were going to
remove condition 22.
Correct, removed condition 22, and since there was a duplication, is it the commission's pleasure that we remove the second condition 24?
Yes.
Okay. And one additional cleanup item, there seemed to have been a misnumbering on the resolution conditions, starting from page 6 of 9. So we would just renumber so that they're in consecutive order.
Okay. Did the city clerk get all of that so that we can make the motion with those?
So we'll make the motion with those modifications. Okay, so I'll reintroduce it with those modifications.
Okay, and I'll second.
Please vote. And it passes. Congratulations. And with that, I'd like to reopen oral communications. And if we'll see how it goes. Are there quite a few people who still want to speak tonight? Okay. Go ahead, and you can take your 5 minutes at this point if you'd like to. If you haven't spoken before, sir.
Madam Chair, I neglected to announce the 10-day appeal period.
Oh, sorry.
There's a 10-day appeal period from the decision of the Planning Commission, and that appeal period starts running tomorrow.
Thank you. This time is available to people who haven't spoken this evening.
Can I finish my 2 minutes?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. In my opening remarks, is this on? I was recommending two things that the developer could do to address some of the concerns of the local and nearby residents. Rotate the project 90 degrees, which would actually, the building itself would then create a sound wall for any parking and traffic movement in the front. And the other thing is add parking at the back to try to prevent the diversion of parking onto the nearby streets in Rossmore. I believe you should make a recommendation to approve this project conditioned upon those two things. If the developer's not willing to make those two accommodations for local residents, then it's his choice not to pursue the project. With regard to the issue of other health-related businesses, I don't believe that should be an issue in your consideration of whether or not to approve this project. It is already a vibrant market with a lot of competition, and these folks are surviving and thriving, and it's not the role of government to limit people's choices and pick winners and losers in the marketplace. Finally, I'd like to just speak to the issue of numbers. We've all heard the number 30,000 cars per month. That number sounds horrendous. But if you start breaking it down, you get down to the fact that that is at peak hours, 1 hour a day maybe, that it would be 2 or 3 cars per minute. I have personally stood at the corner of Sprouts and counted 32 cars per minute passing through that intersection. I am not convinced that this will create a huge traffic problem. Most importantly, you have numbers. In addition to those numbers, as you can make your consideration, I also urge you to go to Montecito and Copa de Oro, or Montecito and Bradbury, and just stay there, be there at certain times of the day, the morning rush hour, noontime, 5 or 6. Experience what that traffic is and answer for yourself and compare that to the numbers you get to make sure that you have an appreciation as to whether or not it is excessive traffic as it exists now, as you have heard from many people, or whether it may be a little bit overblown. I'm hoping that you'll go also to the LA facility, LA Fitness facility at Bellflower and Stearns, and see for yourself what it looks like for people to come and go into a facility like that and appreciate just how that operation works. And then my final comment, there's obviously a lot of concern in the community over this issue, both sides. I hope that when you make your recommendation, you will explain in some detail what it was that influenced you to make your decision one way or the other, just so that we can ourselves understand what it is that was in your mind as you made your recommendation. Thank you.
Sir, was your name Glenn Duckett, for the record? Yes. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. I apologize. We had a motion earlier for 3 minutes, so we do need to continue at 3 minutes, and that was just brought to my attention. So my apologies.
And excuse me, if I could, sir, would you mind closing that door because it's a little bit distracting? Thank you.
Or just call the cops. Just kidding.
My name is Bob Zato, and concerning this last gentleman about the traffic, I live very close to that intersection of Copa de Oro and Montecito. I walk my little dog in the morning from 7 to 8, usually going through there, and there are a tremendous amount of cars coming in through that thing going to the schools in Rossmore. Also, I spend a lot of time walking into the shopping center. I'm a senior citizen. I love to walk rather than take my car. I go to Sprouts. I walk to Sprouts. I walk to Panera Bread to pick up bread. I walk to the bank for farmers and merchants to cash checks and get checks cashed. And whenever I went walking in the middle of the day, I have yet to go through that intersection when there's not a car coming that I got to wait for or they got to wait for me. I mean, there are cars constantly coming through that intersection, and now you're going to put in this big fitness center where the traffic is going to be tremendously different than it is now. Also, I'd like to, ask you people if you could come up with some kind of stipulation if the fitness center goes in, that they close at 9 o'clock at night. These people that live in the condos right now, they're living most of the businesses close at 9 o'clock. Now they're going to be open to what? What time is this fitness center going to close? 12 o'clock? 11 o'clock? They open up at 5 in the morning, and they're going to be open till 11 o'clock at night. These people that live in the condos, they're used to most of the businesses opening up at 9. 9 to 9 businesses is what they're used to. They're not used to 5 in the morning till 11 o'clock at night. I would also, you know, if this fitness center goes in or doesn't go in, you consider something that is a 9 to 9 business, you know, sort of like an Ace Hardware or something like that. It would more...
1 minute, sir.
Pardon?
1 more minute.
It would better fit the service of the community than a 37,000 square foot fitness center that's open from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Good evening, Commissioners, City staff. My name is Craig Monders. I'm a Seal Beach resident. Over 10 years ago, the owner of the Rossmore Center put forth a plan to renovate the center. It chose the present layout, including the maze entry on Town Center, the staggered setback of the buildings, the gridlocked four-way stop sign, and the rear parcel that's under present consideration for the LA Fitness. The present owner knew that what they were buying, so why should the city grant them the power to hold the community hostage to its wants, even to the extent of redesignating Montecito Road, which is a residential collector street, a primary commercial right-of-way for its poorly located businesses. Instead of approval of the conditional use permit that has been sought, I ask you to hand the applicant an unconditional no. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners. My name is Marty Potts, Jones Lang LaSalle. I'm here on behalf of two people. I'm here on behalf of the Shops at Rossmore, the owners, CPT Shops at Rossmore LLC and LA Fitness, and I happen to be the project applicant for the LA Fitness application, which will be before you in a few weeks. There's been tremendous outpouring from the community, there's no question about that, and they've raised a lot of concerns, and quite frankly, they should be raising concerns. This is their community. But the Shops at Rossmore has been a valuable member to the city and Rossmore for decades, and we care about being a good neighbor. And that won't go away, and that will continue if LA Fitness is approved for the project. Myself and our team of consultants for months have spent considerable time with the community through a series of open workshops to listen to their concerns. And we will be addressing all of those concerns with you at our scheduled Planning Commission coming up in a few weeks. But the reality may not be consistent with the concern. An EIR has been prepared, and the public has had the opportunity to comment, and many have done so. But what is found is while the neighbors are opposing the project, there is a considerable contingent of supporters who are excited about the opportunity to bring health and fitness closer to their homes. But in the end, we are confident that when we're before you, the Planning Commission, we will have records which will objectively demonstrate that the LA Fitness project will be a good neighbor and not produce the problems feared by some of our neighbors. Nonetheless, it remains important to us and everyone that's left in the room this evening that we address these concerns. All we ask of you is that you keep an open mind until the evening of our Planning Commission and listen to the complete testimony before you that night. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I know this makes your meetings really long. My name is Mary Holzgang, and I'm currently living in Rossmore, but I have a condo which I will be moving into as soon as I can no longer keep my house. In the condos that face Montecito, all the condos face Montecito. So when you make your decision, and someone had mentioned this, think of the people who live in those condos. The only entrance and exit for a majority of them is off Montecito. And that means left-hand turns across the yellow line and trying to get out. And it is a problem, and everybody has to be very careful. So I just ask you to take that into consideration when you make your decision. And that two sides of the fitness center are bordered by Seal Beach, and those are the condo people. And so they're every bit as important, they should be every bit as important to you as Old Town. And I know that those of us who live north of the freeway don't feel that way. And I guess if you're going to put this gym in, let's change the name. It's not the Shops at Rossmore. We get nothing out of it. Let's change it to Shops at Seal Beach, because that's truly what it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak?
Hello, my name is Karen Schultz, and I live in Rossmore. Thanks for hearing us out over and over and over again. I love living in Rossmore, and I love coming down to Seal Beach. I just love this community. I am against having something so huge be put in such a small area because the traffic is already so bad. So bad. Today, it's about 2 o'clock, and I was coming in by Panera and Payway, and it was backed up going westbound, and it was backed up going eastbound, and there was someone stopped in front of Sprouts, and the turn lane was backed up. Everything was backed up. What is it, Monday at 2 o'clock. It's that way a lot during the other times of the day. I park behind Sprouts because I just don't want to deal with the front of it. I just can't do it anymore. But if you put something massive and huge there, there will be no parking there. And that's not the only place there will be no parking. It will seep out into the front over by Home Goods and Kohl's and everything else. Have you driven by any of the fitness centers? At any time of the day, their parking lots are packed, and you look at it and you go, oh, I don't really want to go to any of those businesses because I won't be able to find parking. Plus, it's already not safe. Pedestrians crossing, I mean, there's just been too many really scary close calls that I've seen. So please keep that in mind. I love Rossmore. I love being here at Seal Beach. Please make something more appropriate to put in than this massive traffic nightmare. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Seeing none, oral communications is closed. And director's report.
No items.
Are there any commission concerns?
I have one. Steve, I called you today and left a voicemail for you about the 2 letters that did not get into the EIR. It said they were in, but they were not in, and I asked you to bring copies tonight. Were you able to do that?
Madam Commissioner, may I?
Yes.
All of the letters will be given to the commissioners, every single one of them from the EIR to up until the day of the meeting will be given when the EIR is given out.
So you're not going to give them tonight?
We're going to give them all at the same time, so all of them have the same weight.
Yes, thank you. Any other questions of staff?
I have one. We do have a date on LA Fitness?
Currently, the tentative date is June 5th.
June 5th. And have we been provided with all documents, including opposition?
You will be provided with all letters that have been received along with the final draft of the environmental impact report. At this point, the reason it's tentative is that the consultant is still finalizing the draft right now. We are anticipating, I think we've received initial comments on responses to all the comments that were received. Staff is going through to make sure that they have included all of the letters into their responses. And we are anticipating by the 22nd, if we can have everything finalized, we will be delivering all of the public comments and the final draft EIR to the commission.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So you're thinking by the 22nd of June?
If we can get the June 5th.
No, I'm sorry, May.
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 We are trying to make sure that we're able to give the commission enough time. Right now, we are trying to get it by the 22nd. So we are definitely working on a very close timeline. But we want to ensure that we have sufficient time for the Planning Commission's review. And at that time, we'll get the draft EIR along with all comments received.
Thank you.
What would possibly move that out 2 weeks? Is there anything that would? Only since June 5th is my 25th wedding anniversary, but that's okay. I'd love to spend the night of my wedding, my silver wedding anniversary here at Planning Commission. I'm just saying that if there were delays, I wouldn't be upset.
That's so noted.
Thank you. Bring a
We'll
cake.
take that in.
That's all right.
Any other questions?
I'll be here anyway.
We'll give your wife a front row seat.
I don't think she wants to be.
All right. With no other questions, the meeting is adjourned.
All right, thank you. I just realized that my 25th.